Today we'll be talking about the longest, most difficult and hardest to pronounce Russian words. Not only I will show you what these words are, but I will also teach you how to pronounce them. Are you ready for a challenge? Hey, what's up? Christina here from Boost Your Russian, bringing you the best tips and tools for learning Russian online. Today, I've prepared for you 8 of some of the longest Russian words. We'll start with the easiest ones, which are pretty long but doable. You'll just need some practice and a little bit of time to be able to pronounce them correctly. Eventually, we'll reach the longest Russian word according to the Guinness Book of World Records. Spoiler alert, it has 35 letters. Now let's dive right in. The first word is, actually the last word because we are going backwards. Соответственно. This word has 14 letters, and it's definitely longer than a regular Russian word, but still I think it's pretty doable. Соответственно in English means respectively or accordingly. Now let's see how to correctly pronounce this word. The stress falls on the first year, соответственно, which gives a regular sound year. Then we have a double O at the beginning. The second O, which is right before the stress syllable, is pronounced as a short A. And the first O is farther from the stress syllable, so it's more reduced and should be pronounced as an English schwa sound, It looks like a heart sign from the Russian alphabet, but it's not. In the phonetic alphabet, this sign designates the schwa sound, Then we have an unstressed year, which is pronounced as a short Russian I. In the phonetic alphabet, we mark this sound like this. It's not a soft sign, it's a sign that the phonetic alphabet designates for the short I sound. There is also one more unstressed O at the very end of the word, which is also pronounced as a short A. And finally, in the middle, we have a consonant cluster or a consonant combination ts, which must be pronounced as a Russian ts. So altogether, we pronounce this word as соответственно. 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 If you have no idea what those phonetic transcription symbols mean, I have a handy printable cheat sheet that explains what they are and, most importantly, how to know when O and A sound the same as in the alphabet, when they sound like a short A, and when it's like an English schwa sound, There's a very clear rule about this. Once you learn it, you'll be able to apply it to any Russian word and read it correctly. I will leave the link in the description where you can download this super useful pronunciation cheat sheet. The next word is the word неудовлетворительно. This word is a little longer. It has 19 letters. It means unsatisfactory in English, which is also a pretty long word. Let's see how you should pronounce it. The stress falls on the E in the ri syllable, so it's pronounced as a regular E. The first O is unstressed and it sits far from the stressed syllable, so it's reduced and must be pronounced as an English schwa sound, The other two O's give a short a sound. Both unstressed yes give a short I sound. Now let's try to pronounce it all together. Repeat after me. Неудовлетворительно. 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 The next word is одиннадцатиклассница. The words are getting longer. This one has 24 letters. So одиннадцать means 11 and class means grade. So одиннадцатиклассница means 11th grader. And since the noun ends in a, we know that it's feminine and refers to a girl that studies in the 11th grade. Now let's see how to pronounce it. The stressed a gives a regular a sound. An unstressed or a at the very beginning or very end of a word always sounds like a short a. An unstressed a right before the stressed syllable also sounds like a short a. All unstressed is give a short I sound, which is marked as this symbol in the transcription. And instead of a double s, we pronounce a single s. Because when you speak fast, you don't have time to pronounce clearly every single letter. Now let's try to pronounce it all together. It's easier if we split this word into two parts. Одиннадцатиклассница. Repeat after me. Одиннадцатиклассница. Одиннадцатиклассница. I think that even though this word is kinda long, it's not difficult to pronounce it, right? The next word is kinda famous. It's the word достопримечательность, which means a landmark or a tourist attraction. Or should I rather say infamous? Because many Russian language learners struggle with this word. Let's see how you should pronounce it. The stress falls on the syllable cha. So the stressed a gives a regular a sound. After, all unstressed o and a letters are very far from the stressed syllable and therefore are reduced and pronounced like an English schwa sound, And all unstressed y and e letters give a short I sound. Now let's try to piece it all together. Достопримечательность. 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 The next one is высокопревосходительство. Okay, this word is probably not the most useful word, but it's a good one to practice your Russian pronunciation because it consists of 24 letters. Высокопревосходительство means highness and is normally used with the word ваше, your, in front. Ваше превосходительство. This was a very common way to address the Russian royal family. So it's no surprise that people eventually decided to overthrow them because it's way too difficult to have to pronounce ваше высокопревосходительство every time you want to address its side, right? Let's divide the word into two parts so that it's a little easier to pronounce. The first part is высоко, which means high. If you know how to correctly pronounce the sound then it shouldn't be a problem for you to say высоко. Высоко. And the second part is превосходительство. The stress falls on E, so it gives a regular E sound. The unstressed O and the one at the very end of the word gives a short A sound. But the first O in the vo gives a reduced schwa sound, Again, if you have no idea why this happens, why O and A sometimes give a regular O and A sounds, sometimes a short A, and sometimes even a very reduced schwa sound, check out this printable pronunciation cheat sheet that I prepared for you. I will leave the link in the description. So let's return to the word. All unstressed yes give a short I sound. And altogether, the second part is превосходительство. Превосходительство. When you add the first part высоко at the beginning, you get высоко превосходительство. Высоко превосходительство. Many long Russian words consist of several shorter words and have two stressed syllables. So that's totally fine. Высоко превосходительство. Высоко превосходительство. Two stresses. The next word is человеконенавистничество. It's kind of similar to the previous one. Not in meaning, of course, but in how you should deal with it to pronounce it correctly. First of all, it also consists of two words. Человека comes from the word человек, which means a person, and ненавистничество, which comes from the word ненависть, which means hatred. So altogether, человеконенавистничество means misanthropy. In other words, when somebody hates everybody. Again, it's easy to practice pronouncing the two parts separately and then piece them all together. First, человека, the stress falls on е, человека, and ненавистничество, the stress falls on the first и. Ненавистничество. Человека ненавистничество. Человека ненавистничество. Two stresses again. And same with the word частно-предпринимательский. Частно comes from the word частный, which means private, and предпринимательский comes from the word предприниматель, which means entrepreneur. I will never remember how to pronounce this word. Entrepreneur. Okay, entrepreneur. Practice these two words separately and then piece them together. Частно, the stress falls on a, частно, and предпринимательский, the stress falls on a, предпринимательский, частно-предпринимательский, частно-предпринимательский. Finally, drum roll please. The longest Russian word, according to the Guinness Book of World Records, is рентгеноэлектрокардиографический. 34 letters. This one is tough. Let's see what it means. Рентгена comes from рентген, which means X-ray. Электро comes from электричество, which is electricity. Cardio is related to cardio, and графический means graphic. So altogether it means something like electrocardiographic X-ray. And I'm not quite sure what it means since I'm not a doctor. So if you're a doctor and you know what it means, let me know in the comments. But we are here to practice Russian pronunciation, so let's do this. As you can see, the most brutal Russian word is not as difficult as it seems. It consists of several shorter words. So you just need to practice these short words and then piece them all together. Рентгено-электрокардиографический. 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 There you go! You just smashed the most difficult Russian words. High five! Write "да" in the comments if you can pronounce рентгено-электрокардиографический. Maybe not so fast as I pronounce it, but рентгено-электрокардиографический. Let me know in the comments if you can do that. Okay, here's a short bonus that I decided to add to the video. Рентгено-электрокардиографический, this word, has been the longest Russian word for quite some time, and it's called the longest word actually used. But according to the Guinness Book of World Records published in, I think, in 2013, there is a new longest Russian word, which is, are you ready? Превысоко многорассмотрительствующий. Превысоко многорассмотрительствующий. 35 letters. And when I saw it for the first time, I was like, what the heck does this word mean? I have never seen it in my life. So what do you do when you don't know something? You Google it. And here is what Wikipedia says. This term needs a translation to English. Please help out and add a translation. So here we go. Even Wikipedia doesn't know what this word means. So I think we can leave it off this list, right? By the way, if you know what this word means, let me know in the comments. I'm really curious. So here is the whole list again of the longest Russian words. Let's see if you and I can pronounce them quickly and correctly. Repeat after me. Соответственно, неудовлетворительно, одиннадцатиклассница, достопримечательность, высокопревосходительство, человеконенавистничество, частно-предпринимательский, рентгено-электрокардиографический. If you could pronounce these words correctly, you rock. If you couldn't pronounce all of them, that's perfectly fine. You just need to practice a little and maybe not to try to pronounce them as fast as I do, but I'm sure that you can do this. I believe in you. I believe that if you practice just a little bit, you will be able to pronounce this longest, the most brutal, the most difficult Russian words. And just imagine if you master these words, how you can surprise your Russian friends when you talk to them next time. They will be amazed if you can see all these longest words in Russian, I can guarantee. So thanks for watching, and remember, together you and me, we will boost your Russian.